everyone. I am Kanisha Grayson, founder and CEO of The Art of Applying. We help people from all over the world get into the world's best graduate schools and get money to pay for it. And today we have one of our amazing clients here to share her story. Her name is Keri. Hi, Keri.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. So, Keri, you are calling from Istanbul. I always have trouble saying it. You laugh at me. And what time is it there for you?
It's about 7 in the evening.
Oh, okay. 7. Okay, so not too bad. Awesome. So what is the great news that we are celebrating today?
My acceptance to Tuck.
Fantastic. And congratulations. I am thrilled for you, Keri.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So I know that the people watching, your story is going to inspire a lot of people. So you've just heard from Tuck. We're really excited. The way I'd like to start is you just telling us a little bit about your story. Who is Keri? Why does she want to go to business school? And how'd we get here?
For sure. So I'm born and raised in Southern California. About 8 years ago, I wasn't quite bored, but I knew I needed a change. And I had Turkish citizenship and I was a dual citizen. So I knew Turkey was a developing nation, a country. It had like the GDP was in the double digits. The entertainment industry was becoming a little bit well known. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much booked a one-way ticket. I moved almost 8 years ago. Within a couple months, I secured a job over at a top TV channel here in Turkey in business planning. I've been promoted a few times, and I volunteer, I do that, but in order to actually get to the next level of where I want to be, everyone seems to have an MBA. And then additionally, in my line of work, business development, business planning, everyone's been in consulting. So if I do happen to move back, if I do happen to want to, further my career, become maybe like a director of business development, I felt like I needed to have just like those check marks, the MBA and consulting. So that's what really led me to the art of applying, reaching out, and finding a way to get into that business school.
Awesome. And so one of the things that I think makes your story especially triumphant is the fact that this is your second time applying to business school.
Yes.
Can you tell us just a little bit about your first time applying, what happened, how you felt, and then how you decided to apply again?
Yeah, first time, looking back now, I think it was just like, it was a mess. It was rushed. I knew I had a target, but I didn't know how to get to that. Like, I didn't know the journey. I didn't know what needed to be put into it. And I was working with someone locally. I put too much trust in her, too much trust in another person, and I didn't take enough responsibility for myself. And I think I was just at that time, without having a story, without, I guess, adding a lot to my, my story, my application, just everything. I was just a mediocre applicant because I have an okay GPA. I have a kind of low test score. So I only focused on just big cities and too much pressure on the consultant I was working with, and just a really mediocre story. So
yeah. Okay. So you worked with an admissions consultant locally in Turkey.
Yes.
You put a lot of trust in her. You were just like, everything, I know nothing. So you took whatever advice she gave you, and maybe not all of it or some of it or a lot of it or some amount of it wasn't helpful, useful, or relevant to you. You chose your schools. You didn't choose them mindfully. You were just kind of like New York, LA,
Yeah.
like you were just choosing by location, not by what the school offers. You had an okay GPA, okay test scores. but you didn't have a cohesive, compelling story. So all of that together just really made you a mediocre applicant. You just weren't you weren't a compelling applicant. Now tell me, Keri, have you drastically changed as a person from working with her versus working with us?
Yes.
Oh, actually, yes. Okay, well, I was leading you to say no, but go ahead and tell us what you mean by that.
But I think working with you guys, your team, just everyone, I think just opened my eyes and kind of made me a better person, because I put the trust in someone else, whereas I should have put more of the responsibility on me, and I should have taken more of the initiative, reach out to people. I was way too focused at work, and I think just like the entire program helps me kind of like open my eyes and see what other people are doing, and that it's possible to have a work-life balance, because in business school, finding that balance is incredibly important, because it's not just all school, it's not just all work in my instance. And I think like the entire program, like I probably would not have been able to do this without you guys.
Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you. So 2 things. One, I know people, when you say I have an okay GPA and things like that, they want to know details as much that you want to share. So only share things that you want to share. The kinds of things that viewers would be interested in would be, where did you study for college? What was your GPA, your age, your test score, and years of work experience. So all the kind of numbers, whichever, if any of those you want to share.
Yeah, of course. So when I first applied, I'm definitely towards like the older end of like the average, or not the average, the range. And when I first applied, I had 8 years. Now I will have 9 years of work experience. My GPA has remained unchanged. I went to a state school in California, very small, because I was looking at a place that had a strong business school and I guess just affordable. So I went to like a commuter college. I took the GMAT, but the following months I actually focused on the GRE. I memorized maybe like 2,000 words, which is nice.
Yeah, you've got this great expanded vocabulary now.
Yeah, it helps with my books when I read my books.
Okay, nice. All those 2,000 words.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to think if there's any other numbers that
I think those are all the numbers. I think that's really helpful. So when you applied with the local person, how many schools did you apply to that first time?
4.
Okay, 4. Okay. So I'd also say that's probably another mistake, is only applying to 4 schools. Would you agree?
Totally. I mean, and then also I didn't have anyone in my circle or anyone close enough that was going through this process as well. So I kind of just had all of my information based on just the blogs, and everyone kind of just focuses on like rankings, numbers, where fit is actually like super important. And that's something that you guys opened my eyes to. I mean, like being comfortable there, being able to actually have a conversation with people and enjoying that conversation.
That's right. That's right. And so then when you decided, did you apply 2 years directly in a row, or was there a gap between your reapplications?
2 years in a row.
In a row. Awesome. So you hear back and you're like, oh no. Was it all no with no interview?
It was all no, yeah.
Oh,
and I didn't know there was a process where you're supposed to get like an interview request maybe a couple months before.
Yeah, so you waited a long time to get your no, even though you would have known it was a no because you didn't get an interview invitation.
Exactly.
Yes, and so she should have told you that too, right? And not just had you in the dark.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt, but I also asked if I should start applying to round 3, and she was like, "No, don't worry about it. Like, that's fine." And
oh man, well, I'm so sorry that happened. Yeah, so sorry that happened. So then you hear back. How did you find out about the art of applying, and what made you choose us versus other options?
Yeah, so I think I was back home in California, and I was on my phone acceptance, like those types of just random Google searches. And at that time, your blog came up, and how it talked about you had a compelling story and you were able to tell it. You got into like HBS, you got waitlisted at Stanford. Sorry if I like know too much about you, but
no, that's okay. That's my story.
And I kind of just really reflected, like, this is how people do it. Like, people know how to tell stories. And that's what kind of just made me kind of like shift gears and initially kind of, I guess, sign up for that breakthrough call. And it was just, it clicked, like everything just like clicked. And like the fit that I'm talking about with the school, I felt like the fit just, it worked. It worked a lot better this time around. And I looked at other places. I had some interviews as well. And it was with other companies. And it actually, I had an interview before I submitted my first round of applications. And while they were incredibly pleasant and nice, and they were the ones that told me to maybe think about the GRE, I think it was just like gut instinct and like, you know, maybe if I don't have, you know, that stellar 720, do not, and, you know, I'm not like an Olympian and all those like crazy stories, that maybe my story is enough. And your group and The Art of Applying could help me tell my story, not someone else's.
I love that. Help me tell my story and not someone else's. So you mentioned having a breakthrough call. Everyone who is our client has to have a breakthrough call, unlike a lot of other companies where you can kind of go on the website and like buy now or just like purchase something off the website. We really want to make sure that we're a great fit for working with someone, because we would never want to encourage someone to apply or take someone's money if we weren't confident we could help them. And that's why everyone has to have a breakthrough call. Talk to everyone about what you remember the breakthrough call being like, what happened and how you were feeling.
Oh, like he was a stellar salesperson. Like if I was able, like he could probably like sell anything to anyone, but at the same time, it was the call that I did with my partner. And I felt the previous application round, he wasn't as involved because I don't know, like, do people do that? Do they not? So it was nice that The Art of Applying kind of opened that up, and he was able to partake in that. He asked a million questions, but it was.
Who is he? Your partner, or Dylan asked a million questions?
No, my partner.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just to like understand the entire process. And I felt incredibly comfortable. Like I told my story, and just certain questions that were asked to us, it kind of just like made me think like, oh, okay, you know, maybe I should have done that with my application, or maybe that should have happened, or, you know, maybe that's where I'm a little weak in. And it kind of like sparked something in me, like I could do more, I can do better. And I could do better. I mean, within like a 90-minute call with your team, I had ways that I could be better as a person, as an applicant, as I guess just like an individual. So it felt right. And I think we signed up right then and there.
Wonderful. And what were you hoping we would help you with? And then what was it actually like working with us in the program?
So I was hoping to get into the school that I wanted to, but in the beginning it was like, oh, you know, I want to get into this school and this one only. And it's just kind of looking at like the name or the numbers, when in reality it wasn't a fit for me. So I think just knowing now, like I want to be accepted to a school that wants me as much as I want them.
Yes.
And that happened. And sorry, the second part of the question.
Oh yes. So, and then what was it like working with us? What were some of your favorite parts of being in the program and working with us? What happened?
To be 100% honest, I think one of my favorite parts of the program was the community.
Tell us about the community, because no other company No other admissions consulting firm that I know of, and you correct me if I'm wrong, or you viewers out there, if you know of another one, you let me know, but no other company has a community that they create from their clients. I think every other company, you just work one-on-one with your consultant, and it's like a silo, and you almost maybe even feel like you're competing with the other clients. But yeah, we actually tell them, how do we have a community? What does that look like? And what did you like about it?
So we have like the Facebook groups, and in the beginning I wasn't as involved because we have like the time difference. So some of the calls weren't, I didn't feel like waking up. Like I didn't want to like deviate from my bedtime because I'm a stickler to that. But I mean, we talked, I mean, we had fears, and like, just because we see these big numbers, we see like the 780s, the 760s, and then we see our numbers and it's kind of like, are we good enough? You know, is my story good enough? Like, so just being able to have that community to talk to people. I had a conversation like via Facebook Messenger, maybe for like an hour this morning, because of the time difference. Yeah. And we were just kind of like talking about it. And I mean, like, this process is brutal because, I mean, we're kind of like judged based on like a couple like numbers and essays. And having that community, having that support was incredibly like important to me because I'm so far away from home. None of my friends are going through this process. So it was kind of just having that support and other people going through this with me as well.
Yeah. So Keri mentioned Facebook groups. So we have actually a free Facebook group that as of today has 3,400 people in it. I hope by the time people are watching this video, it has like 10 or 20,000 people in it. But we have our free Facebook group for people who are not our clients. But then we also have private secret Facebook groups for our clients. So that's a place where they can post their wins, their celebrations, their worries, connect with other applicants. Keri, I think, did you meet up with somebody in person during your interview? Yeah, so she like met up with another client. You can get support, post tips and strategies, ask me questions. So that's the primary place for people to post and for me to weigh in on things. And so, yeah, that's what the community there. But Keri, you were also very active on all the Q&A calls. So maybe if you could just talk a little bit about that, why you made it a priority to be on the Q&A calls and what they were like.
Yeah, I mean, we have another one too, and I put that in my calendar. I have a reminder
tomorrow.
I plan my week and my month around those calls. So I'm incredibly thankful for them because it's a time where everyone comes together and we're able to bombard you with questions. And at the same time, we have some like editing, and that has helped immensely because I mean, just seeing other people's work getting edited and getting my work edited, and it's just like an entire process that to have like a different perspective. It's just, it's nice. I mean, and then also just to have that community too, you know, to talk to other people going through this. And I mean, it's just not like the MBAs, it's also like
the policy school. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I'm thinking HKS, but that's not.
The HKS applicants. Yeah, HKS is our most popular policy school for sure. And Keri, I think you may have been a Forte MBA Launcher the year before you worked with us. I would love for you to talk about why you signed up to work with us, even though you did Forte, and then just kind of speak directly to any Forte launchers watching this video who are wondering, is this a good company? Is this a good program? Can it work for me? Or can I just do Forte? Would love for you to weigh in on that.
Yeah, I was an on-demand launcher.
Oh, okay.
And then also because I'm in Istanbul, I don't have one of those dedicated cities or mentors or any of those get-togethers. So it was a little difficult for me. But there was like a lot of videos. It's just, I felt, I mean, there's like the videos on like the GMATs and like stories and then other people's like testimonials, but I didn't have that stellar, like I don't have those stellar numbers. And I felt it was an area where my story would be more important, and what I do, my work, my promotions, my extracurriculars, and being able to tell that. So I felt just like the webinars and that the online interaction wasn't enough for me. And I wanted a little bit more.
And okay, got it. And then what would you say to any people out there, but let's just maybe even focus on maybe women or other people applying from Turkey or other people applying with, I don't think you ever told us your GPA, and you don't need to unless you want to, but anyone who feels like their GPA isn't amazing, what encouragement would you give them?
I guess like research, and then also find that fit, find that community, if that's important to you, of course. But being able to like tell that story and having someone help you tell that. I mean, we had the whole consultant thing, but we also had like the homework and like certain parts that I didn't think were important, but were. And I kind of approached the essays as kind of just like a business paper, a research paper for history. And I didn't have, it was bland. And I read my essays right now, and I can't believe like.
Your first time essays?
Yes. And it was just, like I wasn't interested.
You were boring yourself from your the essays you wrote the first time you applied. So so the homework, so there was some homework we would assign you that your consultant would assign you, or you would get through the program, and that you were like, why am I doing this? But you were coachable and you did it. And it turns out it was helpful.
It was incredibly helpful. I mean, and even just like the Saturday, the the GRE, the GMAT calls, and just having that support too. And I mean, it wasn't just like a tutoring thing. It was like an entire mindset, like be a better person. And we have like the whole be a better person on like the GMAT side or the GRE side. And then you have like the be a better person on like the tutoring, the homework, the consultant side. So it's just, in my opinion, it's like a transformative process.
Another thing I'd love for you to talk about is, I'll say there's two very separate topics, but I want to say them so I don't forget them. One is sometimes when we ask people to bring their partner to the call, they give us pushback and they're like, no, it's my application process. I don't need to bring my partner. So I know you talked a little bit about why you were glad Barack came to your call, but I would just love for you to just weigh in on that and talk to people about like why it is nice to have them on your breakthrough call. And then whole separate topic. Also, as you know, the application accelerator is very comprehensive, and some people might be like, no, I just want to purchase a few hours here or there. So I'd love to for you to talk about why you are glad you went with like an A to Z comprehensive solution instead of just purchasing a few hours.
Yeah, of course. So to answer the partner question, I mean, at the same time, like this is going to be 2 years of our lives. It's not just going to be mine, because he's going to be moving with me. And if he didn't move with me, he would be alone in Turkey, and it would affect him either way. So I felt this was a commitment that we both needed to feel comfortable with together. And then also the whole like diversity thing, like I think differently, he thinks differently. So just like the diversity of like ideas. So if I didn't think of a question, he thought of it. Or if he didn't, I did. And just having kind of that, I guess the partnership in a call was nice and supportive. So I would totally recommend it, because I mean, if they're important in your life, then might as well be important in this commitment that you're making for like the year leading up to the application, and because it's going to be a pretty good big commitment.
Thank you for that. And then I wanted you to weigh in on
the comprehensiveness.
The decision to get comprehensive help instead of just purchasing like one school and trying to recycle it on your own, or purchasing 4 hours and just doing your best to hope you can squeeze it all in the purchased hours.
Yeah, I to be honest, just reflecting about this entire process, I can't even imagine just purchasing a couple hours, because the comprehensiveness is what made my story, my package. I mean, like my interview, it prepared me to, I think, be accepted to the school that I really wanted. I mean, there's like this whole, like the interview part. I mean, I love interviews. That people probably don't, you shouldn't like interviews, but
no,
it's an opportunity to talk to someone, to get a different perspective and, you know, see if it's like a right fit, and then to have a conversation. I thought like I was good, but having that support, I was able to find like, oh, I could work on this, or, oh, I talk too much, and, you know, maybe I shouldn't expand so much on that. I mean, and then just like the homework, I thought like I could write. I cannot write. And it's gotten a lot better throughout like the past, it's been almost a year now.
A year. We worked together for a year, Keri. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I've been told from other people that my writing has gotten better. I'm able to just like, yes.
At work or where?
I mean, at work, I notice it too. Maybe it's like the help of like the GRE words, but I'm able to explain myself a lot better, because I'm on presentations nonstop. So I'm able to be just like, to tell the story a lot better.
Well, I know you came to the Q&A calls very frequently, and we did live editing of your work very frequently. So I imagine just watching your work live edited in front of everybody, seeing what we would change, and also making your own suggestions on your own work played a big part in it as well.
Yeah, I mean, and then also like I have one story essentially, you know, moving to Turkey, but there are so many different details and parts about it that just copying and pasting wouldn't have been possible. I mean, depending on like the essay too, like I can talk about the volunteering. You know, I'm a foreigner here, so how do I help other foreigners? Or just like stuff that I care about, like why I decided to stay in Turkey after like an attempted coup.
I remember when that happened.
Yes. I was up till about like 4 a.m, 5 a.m, just making sure like, you know, we're not going to have like a change in government. But just like those little stories, like having that help and like the support, and then knowing like what to use, what to expand on. So, because each school is different. So they're looking for different things, and like the fit's completely different. So being able to like chop it up, for me, I don't think it's very feasible, but it might work for other people.
It might work for other people. I just wanted you to talk about why you were happy you got the comprehensive solution.
Oh yeah.
So you may or may not remember, but right after you signed up, you filled out a form that said, who are the first 4 people you're going to tell? And let's see, I'm actually going to look up your form. I'm not going to show it on screen, but I'm just going to look up your form, and we're going to see who your 4 people would be. Okay, found your form. Okay, so just so you know, Keri, you signed up with us almost exactly a year ago, April 4th. So that's super cool that we did work together for a year. All right, and you said you would tell Barack, your husband, Kelly, your sister, mom, and dad. I would love to hear about what happened the moment you get the news, and how did you feel and what happened?
So I saw a New Hampshire number calling my personal phone. And that's when like, I kind of knew like, you know, this is something special. I picked up, and like, I was on my way to the other office, and I was like in a car with another person. So he's like seeing me talk on the phone. It's all in English. So there's like this, what is it, like this lost in translation kind of thing.
Yep.
No one really knows kind of what I'm doing right now at work. And I'm about to cry on the phone, and I'm just incredibly excited, and just, I can't stop smiling. The person I'm with probably thinks I'm crazy for being this excited, but it was good. And like, yeah, I was speechless. I didn't know what to say, like, except for, you know, thank you for the opportunity. I'm so excited. So we end the call. My partner is in like a meeting, like a full day, really like extensive, like extensive like work meeting. So I'm just messaging him on caps, like, guess who called me? And then he finally goes online. I was like, I just kept on, texting that, like, guess who called me? So then he comes out of his meeting. He was like, no. I was like, yeah.
Oh, what an awesome story.
Yeah. And then I told my mom. So my mom was like, she was really happy too, because she has not been to Maine yet. So when she visits me in New Hampshire, she'll be able to check out Maine because she's trying to do all 50 states.
That's awesome.
And then my sister was incredibly excited. Like her and her husband, they were just like jumping for joy because, they helped me kind of just through this entire process, just like a support system. I called my dad at work and he was like, okay, so that happened. Good to know. I'll talk to you later.
Is your dad super stoic, or was he having to keep it together at work and then go cry in the closet?
I don't know.
I think I have a feeling that he was so proud that he was about to cry and he didn't want you to hear him cry.
So.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Have you celebrated yet?
Yes. So now it's kind of like doing all my goodbyes. So I visited a friend last weekend in Dubai, shared the news, and we went out for dinner.
Lovely.
Yes.
Lovely. Good. How exciting. How exciting. So, man, I just love that. What's going to change about your life, your career, the possibilities and opportunities now that you're going to go to a top business school?
I mean, the possibilities are endless. I still have my short-term goals, my long-term goals. I'm really looking forward to just like developing into like a better leader, just like developing like those types of skills. I guess just becoming like better at like other things that, I didn't know existed in the world. I don't know, like the opportunities are endless. There's like so much out there, and the school has so much, like the centers, the people, the community, the classes, professors. So I don't know. Because I came from like such a small commuter school. I mean, I chose my classes based on my work schedule.
Wow.
So I don't know what this whole like the college experience is.
Ivy League experience, no less. Can you? Wow, Keri, what would you say to? We get quite a few people because California has such great public schools and such great many schools. I'd say California and Texas really have amazing schools. What would you say to other people who didn't go to a really fancy college, who are like, can I really go to an Ivy League school? Can I get in? Is it worth even trying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like super excited. Like when I went there, I was like, wow, this is what it's like. Like it's a college campus.
Yeah, and like super fancy.
Super fancy, yeah. I mean, even the hotel, like around the area, and just like the shops, like it's Gilmore Girls. But I mean, that was one of my fears too, because I went to one of the the DMAC in LA this past summer when I was visiting.
Please say that all the way out for us, please.
Oh, what is it? The diversity.
Here, I don't actually know what it stands for. Let me look it up. And I want to reach out to them and see if we can be a partner or a sponsor.
Yeah.
So that is, let's look up what it's called. I just want everybody.
I know it's a diversity conference.
Oh, the Diversity MBA Admissions Conference. They ask me to be a sponsor every year, but they ask at the last minute. So I'm going to reach out to them so that I can make sure we're a sponsor, or try as much as we can to be a sponsor for next year. So I'm so glad you mentioned this.
Yeah. And at that conference, like I came a little bit late because I was volunteering when I first got there, something that, another area that I care about, high school students, financial literacy and becoming, a big bad adult. And I was a little late, but I started talking to the organizers, and one of the girls, she went to the same college I did. And I told her, like, did I go to a small school? Like, do they care about it? And she said, like, no, Keri, like, you just didn't dream big enough, you know?
So this
And
is like an admissions rep or some sort of knowledgeable.
no, she helped like organize the entire event.
Okay,
I
got
think
it.
she was a volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
and she got into Northwestern, so Kellogg. She was going to start in like a couple months, and she told me like kind of her process, like, no, you just didn't dream big enough. Like, you didn't have like that big story that like you don't need to think, you know, like a couple years ahead, like, because that's what I was always taught, to have like those realistic job expectations. But now it's like, wow, like maybe I can dream a little bit more. And so maybe that's what this experience will help me with. And that's what she told me. So I didn't really believe it until like I started working a little bit more with Art of Applying, and then kind of figuring out my story a little bit more. And it's possible.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I used to work like 40 hours a week in school. Like, I had like multiple jobs. I was like a server. I sold shoes. And then I didn't even think like internships were a possibility until my last year. So that's when I kind of thought like, you know, maybe I need to think of a career. But yeah, I mean, it was a commuter school, like, and now I'm here, like, I'll be going to Tuck.
You'll be going to Tuck.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it. So we helped you dream bigger and actually achieve that bigger dream.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Keri. I know that it's going to help and inspire a lot of people.
I hope, because like now it's like anything's possible. Like, and it really is like anything is possible.
Anything, Keri. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thanks for watching our video. For more videos just like this, make sure you click subscribe. And if you want to work with us on your graduate school applications, visit us at theartofapplying.com or click on the link below in the description.